Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us, and we're guesting today with St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith. Mr. Mayor, good to see you.
Richard, how are you?
Happy holidays. Sounds like a lot of good stuff in St. Albans these days. I've certainly caught some of it from Running of the Bells, some of the Festival of the Trees, but plenty of good stuff going on.
Yeah, community events have been taking up the schedule lately, between Festival of Trees, Running of the Bells, Tractor Parade.
No, the tractor parade is cool. I told some of my friends who did make it. I said I think this might be the coolest event you're going to see in St. Albans. Tractor parade is just really, really cool. It's amazing how after such a soft winter, finally a touch of winter. We're taping the show on Tuesday, December 13, but after such a soft winter, it's amazing how cold, like 20, 25 degrees feels to me.
Right.
But yeah, great event.
The Tractor Parade had the most entries.
What, about
ever.
50 or so?
No, 63.
63.
Saw Mr. Berthium, Leon Berthium yesterday, and he shared 63 was a number.
Wow, is that right?
Yeah, and and downtown was packed. The neighborhoods were jammed up with cars. And
I walked down from my house at Farrar and Messenger, and I felt a little bad. I mean, Messenger was totally pretty much stopped traffic-wise. I don't know what those people were pulled off.
And we had a council meeting last night. We talked about that a little bit, about maybe taking our, and I don't know if we have the manpower to do it, but bumping that police presence on the streets up a little higher, maybe like High Street, or do some one-way streets. If you're coming into town, you go north on High Street and south on Messenger.
Sounds like that might be a good idea.
Something like that. But the cars were they were everywhere. Yeah. And I'm quite sure a number of people probably missed out on a good chunk of the parade.
I mean, like I said, as I walked down Messenger, almost from my house is just kind of backed up with cars and stuff. So I'm sure a bunch of those people didn't pull it off.
I'm curious as to whether our parking garage was full, because that would be the
good question.
Solution for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
I should check on that and see what the status was.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that holds 350 cars, I think it is. So if we can start directing people to that. And I don't know if we've implemented the 2 hours free parking, but that would have worked as well. Yeah. But I know that, the Tractor Parade does what we want it to do, right? Yeah. It brings people to town. Yeah. The restaurants are full. The coffee shops are busy. Exposes the community to people from outside the area.
I know Channel 5 gave it some nice coverage. Their weather, Tyler Jankowski was up, so it got some good media attention. It's a great event.
It's, you think, I think it's been 6 years, and you think of where it was when it was suggested as an event. I think there was some skepticism as
Tractor Parade.
Yeah, Tractor Parade, but it's proven to your point, it's proven to be one of the better events. And Running of the Bells continues to still be strong. Yeah. Emerson, Suzanne Lynn put a lot of work into that. Yeah. And they're all just great family and community events for St. Albans. And I'll share a quick story with you. I was with my I was standing with my wife's cousin, who's a council person in South Burlington, and he was like wondering out loud, why can't we do something like this in South Burlington? Or talked about the pool, and why can't we do something like that in South Burlington?
Really? And it must be music to your ears.
Yeah, no, it is. It's and once again, it's the team at City Hall, City Manager Dominic Cloud. I mean, it's a lot of people. Marty Manham, Public Works, and his team put a lot of work in to make these things come off. Police department as well. So, we're very fortunate to have the team we do.
Yeah, going back to one of the events that I caught on Taylor Park, I guess part of Festival of the Trees, but the laser light show, I thought that was actually pretty cool. And did you get a pretty good reaction to that? And that was kind of instead of fireworks?
Instead of fireworks, right. So I'm a little hesitant to say why we stopped the fireworks, because there's a fireworks show coming up on New Year's Eve. But
is that right? You got fireworks on New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve, I think it's starting around 7:00. So they're early enough. Yeah. And we're trying to get the word out just so people can prepare to be aware of it. So if the animals are acting up or whatever. But
fireworks from downtown or Hardack or
from from the park.
From the park.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But the laser show, I was out of town for a child's hockey game, so I didn't see it.
Yeah.
But I did hear that from a few folks that, for the younger kids, they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There wasn't the loud noise. I don't know what the final outcome was relative to the downtown board or the Festival of Trees folks to see if that's something they'll be bringing back. And like I said, I did not see it, so I don't really have an opinion on it.
Well, I can report this older kid right here for one person's opinion. I thought it was really cool. In fact, I had forgotten about it. I'm walking around the park and I see the big screen before it started. And I think I'm vaguely wondering, what are they doing with that? Are they going to show a movie or something? So I had forgotten, and all of a sudden the lights start going crazy. But I thought it was really cool.
It was good. That's good to hear.
Anyway, City Council, again, we're taping the show Tuesday, December 13th. City Council meeting last night. Anything of particular note coming out of that?
No, trying to think. A lot of administrative stuff, signing bond papers, some different zoning for zoning regulations. Nothing major.
Budgeting and obviously budget work underway.
Yeah, that was an agenda. They shared the schedule for the budget work, which will begin early January, and I think we have to have the budget complete by the end of January so it can be warned.
Yeah.
We're it was a very quiet meeting.
Yeah. Speaking of the budget, any particular items coming up at the annual city meeting in March? Any more TIF initiatives, tax increment financing?
We're hoping to pull one or two together by March. We do have, we got a little bit of a void in the budget in the income side with the reduction in the appraised value of the immigration building.
Right.
So that is something we're very conscious of, and we're going to have to try to address.
And that was a pretty good hit to the grand list, obviously.
Yeah, I think it was $183,000.
Yeah.
So that's tough to make up, even though we do have, there's a few homes going up around town. So there is some potential development that could happen, but it won't have an impact on this year's budget. So, the TIF, there's still a number of discussions out there relative. Housing is a big part of that discussion. So we'll see where everything sugars off here before March.
At least one change to the city council with Mike McCarthy, state rep and city councilor. Were you surprised that Mike decided?
I was actually. I told Mike that. It caught me off guard. I didn't see that coming. But I get it. I mean, he's
it sounds like he's getting even busier in Montpelier with position in the party, and so
and he's got a full-time job and
family to deal with. He's got a few things going on.
Yeah, so I get it. And Mike's been a great council person, and we'll miss him for sure.
Already have one candidate. In fact, I used to log time in that neighborhood. Is Trudy Chaffee a coffee or a Chaffee?
She's a coffee.
She's a coffee. Yep, I know Trudy a little bit. Used to spend some time in that nice neighborhood, so she's already one announced candidate anyway.
Mike, I think probably reached out to her, and or maybe Trudy had expressed some interest at some point, and so Trudy will be a nice addition.
And Marie Bissett already announcing she's like another term in Ward 3.
Yep. So, it looks things look good, and the March election should be a number of things to vote on.
Yeah.
So hopefully the turnout will be.
You're
good.
right between in the middle, getting into the middle of your third term. Have I got that right? About 5 years in March.
Yeah, 5 years in March.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So you're not.
I've got a year. I'll have a year after that before re-election.
Yeah. So, so at least one change on the city council. Tim, maybe putting on your Franklin County Industrial Development Corp hat, but I've seen some stories, and I know you'd love to see this. I think you've talked about it. A welcome center sounds like getting some attention on the northern end of Interstate 89. Is that, I'm talking years away, but do you feel like you're getting somewhere with that?
Yeah,
or-
oh, no, most definitely. Yeah, I think some people think we're moving ahead with construction, but that's not the
Not quite.
case. Yeah, we're not there.
I mean, there's no site at this point, obviously.
No,
right?
no site. There's the whole discussion has finally got some attention. I mean, me, the FCIDC, we've been advocating for a welcome center for at least 4 or 5 years.
So, of course, they torn. There used to be the one just right south of the border in what, Highgate, whatever, one
Highgate
of the
Springs,
Highgate
yeah.
Springs, I guess.
So-
and that was torn down.
Right. So that land was there, and we talked about we had suggested that possibly something could be rebuilt on that site.
Yeah,
But as it turns out, with the I-35 interstate coming down from St.
Yeah.
John,
yeah.
there's major expansion plans for the Highgate border crossing.
Oh, yeah.
Truck X-rays, truck parking, all that, and they're going to be absorbing that area where that rest area was.
Okay.
So that's not even an option.
And speaking of that, you're getting a time frame. In fact, I had to take innkeeper Jennifer to the Montreal airport Saturday. Boy, easy ride up there. Then I made the horrible mistake of going back on Mercier Bridge, and for 1 hour. And you know, Mercier, not far from the airport.
Yeah.
From where I turned off the highway by the airport to Mercier Bridge, all of maybe 2 miles, 1 hour. Stop and go was way exaggerating how I was doing. Just total packed traffic, insane. But anyway, but that last segment of the 35, is that
I've
a
heard
year
20, 25. So yeah, a couple of
or
years.
two? Interesting. Boy, that's going to make Montreal just that much an easier place to
For
get
sure, for sure.
Huh.
So we've, as I said, we've advocated for 4 or 5 years. We finally got some attention. They did a study last year. The study came out basically saying exactly what we were saying, is that every other part of the state has a welcome or a rest area coming into that through that venue.
Yeah.
And Northwest Vermont had nothing until you got to Georgia. So
Yeah.
my opinion had always been that Franklin County was getting cheated by not having something further up the interstate where we can capture folks, educate folks as to what's available in the region.
Yeah.
And if people choose, they can get off in Swanton, they can go left to Highgate and Enosburg, and they go right to the islands,
Yeah.
or then they can bypass exit 21 and get off on exit 20.
Yeah.
So I think it would be huge for our economy. More on the, downtown tourist attraction, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot. Enosburg is doing a lot. Swanton's doing a lot. So I think we could make a difference for sure.
Interesting. So time, it's probably hard to talk time, maybe 5.
Yeah.
Would you be hoping in 5 years or something, or?
I would hope in less than 5.
Less than 5.
So I'd like to think they'll, if we get that far, announce some land and then in 2 years, and then maybe 2 years to build it.
And presumably this would be if you're just going south on I-89, having crossed the border, you could just
Right,
turn into you wouldn't have to, they wouldn't hook it to one of the exits, presumably.
Right. So that was part of the conversation. Do you want something on the interstate, or something like in Berlin, Vermont? There's one where you get off the interstate.
Yeah.
And we initially were looking. We were sort of told it's going to be hard pressed to get it on the interstate.
Really?
So we were looking at options in Swanton.
Yeah.
And then attitudes changed for whatever reason, and they said, "Well, we're going to look to be on the interstate," which is
what you'd like.
which is
I
our
assume.
preference. Yeah. We think that will be a much better fit for what we want to accomplish.
Yeah. Sure.
So that was So we're excited. At least we have the attention of the state. They're looking at options as well, and so we're moving forward.
No, sounds like there's some movement at least.
Yeah, and just to clarify, I thought you headed down so there's not going to be anything on the northbound. There's no need.
Right, just on southbound.
Just on the southbound.
Yep, makes sense. This might have been an oldest. I was just reading some old 7 Days, and they had a long story, I guess a while ago, about a Dollar General store being proposed for Royalton, and there's quite a bit of controversy. Some folks not wanting a Dollar General, but in that story, I'm just reading, thus far at least 3 other communities, Chester, Poultney, and St. Albans, have resisted the chain unsuccessfully. And I'm going, boy, was there a Dollar General controversy around here that I missed? That meant nothing to me.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
So it was because they came before the council for water and sewer,
Okay.
and it would be located up by Maple Fields by exit 19.
Oh, really? I guess I didn't
And I
take.
think-
Was that a while ago or pretty recently?
No, that was probably spring.
No, really.
spring,
I
early
guess I didn't
summer.
take note of that.
And I know Emerson did an editorial on it stating that that's probably not what we want at our
Yeah.
off-ramp or on-ramp.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I hadn't heard much about it. I know that there was a lot of social media chatter about it.
Huh.
My feeling is I don't think it's the best place for it. This is only my personal take, but
Yeah.
it seems like for me, the Dollar General population, people who choose to shop at, is usually within walking distance of their home.
Huh.
If you look at what's in Richford, what's in Enosburg,
Swanton, of course. That's
Swanton
one.
as well, they're all
Yeah.
within walking distance sidewalks, and they can access those
Yeah.
stores accordingly.
Huh.
If you put it up by Maple Fields, that's not going to be the case for people who choose to walk to it.
Huh.
So, but I haven't heard anything more since there was a lot of
Interesting.
discussion that those week or two after we approved the water and sewer,
really?
and we don't have the authority to
Sure.
pick and choose zoning in the town.
Right.
I mean, some might say we do, but
Right.
I mean, we can't not approve it because we don't.
Right.
Because some councilors may not like what Dollar General does or stands for. So
Right. Interesting.
so we approved it, but I haven't heard anything more about it.
Speaking of exit 19, wasn't when the motel hotel came in years ago, wasn't the original plan that there'd be a restaurant there, which of
No.
course is never, and is there still a site for that would be restaurant, or I guess I don't know myself.
I
but-
don't remember.
But never happened.
I don't know
It
where it
seems a
would be
little
on that.
surprising. What do I know about the restaurant business? Nothing, except it just strikes me as such a tough business. But geez, with Collins Pearly, it seemed like not a crazy site, but what do I know?
I mean, and I'm not saying that Subway's a restaurant, but
Yeah,
you've
there's
got
a Subway out there.
The
It's a good
Subway,
point.
Dunkin' Donuts now,
It's a good point.
and that may have changed because when that Jolly store went in,
Yeah.
it brought a lot more options, if you will, to that area, and maybe whoever
Huh.
had discussed the restaurant chose not to follow through with it.
Community swimming pool, sounds like it came off a very good first summer. How you faring as we get into cold weather with the bubble?
I don't want to be negative, but it wasn't real busy during October
Yeah.
because we had such a wonderful October, right? I mean, the
Pretty mild
days were
October.
mild and the days were beautiful. But since the cold weather set in, days got shorter. It's definitely picked up. A lot of activities. So it's doing very well now,
Yeah,
for sure.
And the bubble's working. It's
Bubble
working
is
just fine.
I was pleasantly surprised by the bubble.
Yeah.
It's
It's
bright.
quite the sight, especially at night now.
Yeah. But the brightness of it, it's a very nice setting. Because my vision had gone to, if you've been to Smuggler's Notch, they have a bubble over there, pool during the winter, and
A much smaller one, or
yeah, much smaller. Lighting was dimmer.
Huh.
It's more of a yellow lighting. This is more of a bright white light. So that was sort of my image going into it, but it definitely was. I was totally impressed by the how bright it is, and it just looks great.
Yeah.
So, and doing a lot of classes. So there's a lot of activity. I think there's people scuba diving lessons, and
Really?
not through rec, but people renting the pool for that purpose.
Really?
For training and certification.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's going well. I think the Greg Brown Lodge continues to be have a very high number of use on the weekends and evenings.
Yeah, I was catching a few Ollie lectures in there. First time I had been in
Yeah.
there a while ago. Yeah, nice
It's
place.
a beautiful building.
Yeah.
So
Tim, walking right across from City Hall, the CCV building, couldn't help but notice just you got some space. You'd love to be leasing in that building and stuff. Is that I guess you're not the only persons looking to lease some space. Huh? Is that kind of that just a kind of a tougher time to find?
Well, yeah. With it being a newer building, we're facing this through FCIDC. With new construction, your lease rates are a lot more than what they would be on an older building.
Yeah.
So it's when you're talking retail or food service, it's tougher to swing that rent sometimes, and I think that's what we're faced with. So I think we'll need to be a little more creative on getting people interested in those spaces.
Yeah. Downtown faring reasonably well these days?
No, I think it's doing very well. Yeah, I think it's pronounced Kaiju Kitchen, the Japanese restaurant, opened up down on Center Street.
Yeah.
You've got Hangry Donuts close to opening.
Yeah.
They are selling some donuts on the weekends.
Off the Rails is
open, and anytime I've been by, it seems to be. I haven't had a chance to go yet.
Yeah, either have I. I'll get in there one of these.
But they seem to be have a good crowd. What else is? I was downtown shopping. I guess last weekend, and I was talking to Jess at As a Crow Flies, and she said her numbers have been great. They were up from Small Business Saturday. Her numbers were up by about 30% from the prior year. She was very pleased. A lot of people have been very happy with the turnout downtown.
Yeah.
So.
City-town relations sounds like not the warmest relations these days, but anything going on with the town?
There is.
Anything you can share?
No, maybe the next show.
I guess that begs the question. Don't tell me there's more litigation out there.
No, you'll be happy to know there's no litigation. No. We're excited about what conversation we've started.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that the city reached out to the town to discuss this, and the town was favorable, and that's about all I will say. There'll be more coming here. So
yeah, as I mentioned, I got 4 shows to do here tomorrow, and one will be talking to Jonathan Giroux, the town select board chairman, and certainly good news for the town. They're finally in their nice new town hall.
I've heard nothing but good reports.
I'm sure
about
the staff couldn't have been happier to finally get in there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they use the old building for. I mean,
hopefully there's some use for it.
It's the same situation that we're faced. The rail dispatch center is moving out of the railroad building on the corner of Federal and Lake. And
is there anybody else in that building?
Not that I'm aware of. I think they did have some rail administration folks.
Yeah.
But they too are moving over to the new building.
Wow.
So
that's a good point. I hadn't even thought about. So that's pretty much nobody in that building once the dispatch center moves.
Yep. So
wow. I love the windows in that building. I just love looking at that building.
And I agree with you, but that's part of the problem, right? For reuse. I mean, you've got 14-foot ceilings.
Wow. Heating obviously
heating's a problem. And then, do you try to make 2 floors out of that? Or, 14 is a little tight, obviously, but is there something that can be done? So, that'll be a challenge for sure.
Sorry, that building is owned by not the city.
Yeah, I don't totally understand. I think Rail America owns the building, or Genesee and Wyoming owns it, and the land it sits on is Canadian Central or National. So that complicates the issue a little bit in itself.
Yeah.
Speaking of the railroad, we've had some terrible issues with the 2 fires that we've had.
Boy, you had a tough couple weekends ago with fires.
And there was a vacant building down. It used to be the old dispatch building for just that railroad, and that was set on fire, we believe.
Wow.
Just as these have been set on fire. So it's disturbing to say the least. I mean, the building that was the most recent one, you had an old barn be burned down as an older house, but you also had a business. I think it was about, it was a wholesale lumber business. The warehouse was about, I want to say 20 to 25,000 square feet.
Wow.
Active business, someone's livelihood,
Wow.
and once again, we think that it was set.
Appears to have been sent.
The building had no electricity to it, so I'm not sure how else. We haven't had any lightning storms. I mean,
No,
so
not for a while.
I think it's fairly obvious that there was some intentional activity there. And-
Yeah, it sounded like that was a pretty tough night. I guess Swanton had a fire or two also around that time.
Right, and so that's, I mean, the small libraries, one of those was set on fire, a dumpster set on, I mean, those don't just happen.
Yeah.
And to your point, as closely connected as in timing and the date and everything else. So I'm hopeful that they'll get some leads and try to address the situation.
Yeah. Speaking of railroads, the Vermonter, I'll be heading to New York on the Vermonter in a week or so.
Yeah.
Hearing any news, I always go back to Montreal. Please get the Vermonter to Montreal. Has that subject ever come up in your travels?
Oddly, I was over in Plattsburgh, and
I guess they're concerned. They haven't had the Adirondack, of course, which was still getting to Montreal, but I guess they bagged service, north of Albany or north of Saratoga? I know I've seen some stories. They're trying to get the Adirondack. I guess I'm sure Congresswoman Stefanek's not happy, but they haven't had service on the Adirondack north of either Albany or Saratoga. I mean, so Plattsburgh hasn't had passenger rail service for a while.
I didn't realize that, but I did read a piece where they're trying to get back into Montreal.
Yeah.
So that they seem to be a little more active, or at least on the surface.
And of course, they had it for years before too.
So on the surface, it seems like they're more active in trying to make that happen than what's happening in Vermont. And now one of the big advocates was Leahy.
Yeah, who we're about to lose.
He's just about done. So,
it's happy.
Whether that's a priority for Welch and Sanders, I don't know.
Yeah, because Burlington obviously getting passenger rail service for the first time since 1953. Obviously, big story. But hey, guys, don't forget about Montreal. But anyway, what about bus service? I know our friend Mr. Jim Levy doggedly was pursuing that. Any recent news on bus service?
No updates on that. I talked to Jim a couple weeks ago, maybe more than that, 3-4 weeks ago. And, that wasn't a topic, but I should follow up with him.
Yeah.
So,
how's City PD faring? Okay in terms of staffing? Tim, are you down a few spots?
Yeah, I think we're down a couple. It's always a moving target. The point was made that the discussion is, will we pick any up from the sheriff's department? Yeah. Depending what happens there.
Yeah.
But the point was made, which I thought was very interesting, is that I don't think a sheriff needs to have the same training as a city police officer. Excuse me. And some of the sheriff are family with, kids. Yeah. And to become a city police officer, you have to go to the police academy. Yeah. So can you afford to leave? And I know National Guard does it all the time when they're deployed, but I think sometimes there's police officers who probably aren't of that same mindset to leave to increase their training or to be certified as a so that might make it a little tough to persuade some of the sheriffs to move to the city police.
But local PD sounds like in pretty good shape. Again, just a Burlington situation you hear about just about every day.
I think we have a great staff. Police, they handle themselves very well and are very active in the community. We're very, very pleased with who we have and the staff that we have, for sure. Yeah,
down about 30 seconds. Just read your mayor's message in my water sewer bill. But again, hopefully folks, if we're watching, see the show a little before Christmas. But a lot of good places to shop downtown, and always happy to see downtown getting some life.
Yeah, no, it's very active, and it's beautiful, especially now with the snow. So we feel very fortunate.
Okay, on that note, happy holidays, Mr. Mayor, to you and your family and to the community. Thanks for watching us on Northwest Access TV. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. Thanks to producer Alan Cunningham. See you next time.